Hey guys, one-legged trapper here. I got my son filming for me here. We're working on some of Jay's stuff here. I just want to kind of give you an overview here, kind of what we're looking at. Did a pretty good job skinning them out. Cats are pretty easy. Both of these are pretty easy. This is a fox here, red fox. Pretty easy to work with. These you treat just like you treat a muskrat when you're fleshing and stuff. There's a thin layer of fat that you can kind of see. There's a grains here. That thin layer, you want to keep it on there if you're planning on getting it tanned, or even if you're sending it in. But you want to kind of get a lot of that filmy stuff off. All right, but that thin layer of fat that meat's right there. Leave that on for when you're getting it in to get tanned. It gives it, because fox is such a thin hide, it tears real easy. And when it gets to the point where it's almost dry, the stuff's like paper. So pretty much all you're doing is you're looking for the big chunks of fat and meat to get off here. This is a little bit of freezer burn. He had these, it looks like, for a little while. But you're trying to get like the big chunks of fat out of there. Yeah, you just treat it just like you treat your muskrat. You just want to, it's such a thin hide. The more you take out of it, the thinner it gets and the harder it is to work with in the tanning process. And in my last video I was saying, hey, sometimes they don't make it through the tanning process. What I'm talking about is the feet. If you do the leg with the legs on, sometimes those feet are, the hide's so thin that as they're going through the tumbling process, sometimes they'll pop off. So for right now, we're gonna I got all of them up here. These are the ones that we're gonna get worked on today. These ones will get probably put up tonight. And I'll kind of break that down into stages here for you. But I got to get my little fleshing beam set up. I just wanted to see what I was looking at for quality here. And if you're sending them into market, you don't need that much leg on there. You'd probably cut that much more off of it, and I might still do it. I got to see if there's any good spots or anything. I might leave them on there. He's planning on keeping all these and sending them in. But you can see we got a little freezer burn here. That's not incredibly bad, but if you can avoid it, it makes it a lot harder getting all this, like this little chunk of meat off of here. Usually how we do that is we just make sure when you freeze them, you bag them too. That keeps it from getting freezer burn, but no big deal. Nothing we can't work with. I've sent in worse to the tanning places. So, but same thing with bobcats. You're just trying to get the big chunks of meat off, the big chunks of fat off. And then we'll go in here and we'll take the ears and we're gonna peel back the ears a little bit so that they dry out evenly, so the tips aren't slipping. So that's what we're doing. I'm up in the air whether I'm going to dry them or if I'm going to try to go buy a bag of salt tonight and just salt them. They don't need, when you're sending them in to just get, if you're tanning them for a garment tan, you can just salt them, and that's enough to pull the moisture. Salt them and hang them, and then after a day or so, knock the loose salt off, roll them up, and then they're ready to go to the tanning. It saves on shipping costs too, but I think he's planning on delivering all these, so we're gonna do a dry. It'll last just as long as it's salting. It's just a little more of a finesse project. You're on a more time constraint. So yeah, that's gonna be about it. And then these are still pretty solid. I'm hoping these wouldn't fit in my freezer, so I'm hoping by tomorrow we'll get they'll be thawed out, but with it being 30 degrees, it might take till Sunday to get done. And this is the one I think I'm probably going to do it on both of them. I'm going to keep the feet on them. As you can tell, this is where you get kind of tough with freezing whole carcass animals. This is why we're going to work on doing like a taxidermy quality skinning. But you see how the feet are starting to be nimble. You can work with them. The tail is doing the same thing. This stuff's still rock solid. The problem you have is in warmer climates, this stuff is going to start slipping on you. before the whole carcass, before you can even skin out the rest of the carcass. So after looking at the fox, I don't think I'll be doing. Sometimes I like to keep the feet on just because you get that black, but this one looks like he's missing a few toes and that foot's messed up and this leg's broken. So we're just gonna do what I call a trapper's cut on them. But I think the 3 bobcats I got that were whole, I'm gonna skin them. And I'm gonna plan on keeping all the feet, and then I'll show you how when we go through it. Now, if you're doing them taxidermy, like I say, if you was interested in getting this one mounted, what you do is you come in right here at the base of the tail, and you split it right up the back. You want to kind of split it right to the base of the ears. That's your incision, and then you peel it from there. That's your taxidermy quality. So you get it to there, you get it to your legs, and your legs, you want to split right up the back side of the legs, right in the thick fur here. So you want to come up here, about here, and split it up to here, and do the same thing over here. So, and the same deal with the front. So you go from the elbow, try to get that color. You can see where the 2 colors meet. You got the brown meeting the white. You want to kind of hug that line and get right up in there, but you want to come out right at the base of the center and base of this pad. So you want to run your line down this way and come all the way down here, and then stop right at that elbow, maybe just a little bit short. The less you can do, the less the taxidermist has to this is a big tom. That one's a pretty good sized tom. And then there's another one. This one's I think that really spotted one he caught. So we're gonna start working on these, and then I'll show you the next step here when we get a little bit closer. Like I said, I gotta set up my fleshing beam real quick, and then we're ready to go. So, all right. Okay. So as you can tell, we've been busting. This is kind of what you're looking for here. This is, for people who don't know nothing about hide, this is why you can't trick the DNR. I already know which bobcat this is because I watched most of Dre's stuff. But when you see stuff like this here on this one, what that tells me is that was either a body grip or a snare. But most of the time on your bobcats, unless you're hunting way up in the north country where you can use 330s, your bobcats are getting caught right behind the head here. That's where they get smacked at. And as a matter of fact, talking to Jay, I believe these were both caught in buckets. I could be wrong. Now this one was shot. This one was a police. But I know this was a snare caught bobcat. I already turned it around, and I know. But that's something you can't fool DNR, because these are all pre-mortem injuries, so that's why you get the bruising in it. That there is okay for the tanning. That should be good. This is the fox. I had to flesh out the head a little bit, and I don't know if he popped this one, but again, you can always tell what's been caught and when it's been and where it's been caught just by the bruising on the interior. Same thing with bow shots and gun shots. You can always tell. Like, I mean, even here, this one I'm pretty sure was caught in a leg hold. There's no hide damage at all besides the 22 hole, or a couple of them, and the bruising. So that tells me this cat was shot. So, but just a little bit of tips. Your ears, you want to roll them out through the cartilage like that. You can kind of see the line right there. You just kind of keep working on it. I'm going to get most of these put up, and then I'm going to start finishing that. I got this one about done. I got to work on this a little bit more. It's easier when you have something to pull against. So, but I just wanted to show you, if you're using, and he knows about it already, he already told me, but if you're skinning cats, don't get in a rush, especially if by chance one day the prices come up and you're getting good money for these bellies on these things. So that's what happens when you get greedy there and try to use a winch, a skinning winch, as much as possible. He already told me I was looking for it. I kind of knew it was coming up eventually, but yeah, that takes a couple inches out of the pelt and it went to a damaged hide. Just as simple as just pushing your luck. So, but with that being said, that's about, like I said, that's a pretty bad spot to tear, especially when you're getting right into that belly area. So, but I think he missed most of it, but there's not much you could do if we really, really wanted to, and you had the time and energy. Like if it was going to market, the only way to fix that, literally come in here and just start sewing it back together before you put it on the stretcher, before you put it on anything. Get all that sewed back together, and then it's ready for market. You'll still get docked, but you won't get docked nearly as much. So, but yeah, so that's kind of, they fit on your plain coon wire stretchers pretty well, and I'll let them sit overnight, and it might not even take that long, but I'll let them sit until they're a little bit firmer on here, and then when they're about half dry, I turn them right side out, and then I brush. For market purposes, I would brush the hide out, just to get all the blood and burrs and everything like that out of there. But you don't have to. Like right now, I could salt this, and this would be good enough to send the tannery. I don't have salt, so we're drying them. So I'll do them like I normally do them. I'm gonna get them, and I might even call Sleepy and see how they want them. If they don't mind them fur in, then I might just leave them fur in and let them dry that way. It might help them in their rehydration process. So, and that's where all these are going. So sometimes if you have questions, it's worth calling Sleepy Creek or any of your tanning places. Like I know after talking to them, I'm not too sure on bobcats. I just kind of went off of my guess with fox. They want the extra little pink meat on there. And then muskrat, they want the pink meat on if you're getting them tanned, just because it gives them more, because they're always going to thin the hide in the tanning process. So just give them something to take off. But you don't want to leave too much. There's a fine line, because then they'll charge you for fleshing it. So, but all right, well, that's all I got for you right now. Again, split the tails. It's pretty simple. Just find where the end stops and try to stay in the white on bobcats. You don't want to roll into that black, because then you know you're getting into the back part. You're on the wrong side of the tail there. So, but luckily, like I said, for these ones, there's not a whole lot that goes into the fleshing process. On this one, it's going to be just like I say, that figuring out which hole's the right one. Getting a lot of this belly fat out of here, and then just a little bit around the anal gland area. That's going to be kind of hard to flesh, but do what you can. A lot you can just pull off with your fingers. But if you already got holes, be careful, because it's really easy to, a little bit tougher to start a hole than it is to make a hole bigger. So, alright, we'll leave you at that for now, and then I'll kind of keep you stage by stage deal. You can flush them on a beam like I have here. Nothing fancy, but I'm not pushing too hard. If you were doing beaver or raccoons or even coyotes, you want something to stick on a little bit harder. And yeah, just there's not much on these. Like I said, you could do the ears when they're in there. You're just trying to scrape a lot of this extra fat stuff off. All this extra meat needs to come off. Like I said, a lot of this you can just get a good handle on and pull off. But there's plenty of other ways to show you, plenty of other videos out there showing you how to flesh. I'm going to get this done, and then I'll come back and maybe I'll just check, see if I got a better one that doesn't need as much flesh work here. It's still frozen. I'll show you here in a minute. No, both all these. That one's still frozen. This one's kind of frozen, and this one gonna need some work. So I'll come back and I'll show you just plain and simple putting them on the board. And I don't put them on boards, but I just wire stretch them on my coon stretchers. Split the tail, open the tail up, put your, I don't know what they call that, but your pull deal on there. And then do the same thing on both feet. If you're having issues with bobcats, aren't as big of a deal as like canines and coons. If you're having issues with the mouths popping over, that's a clothespin. Something plain and simple, or even like a binder clip in there. But that is a very spotted cat. I mean, you know it's spotted when you can see them coming through the belly. So, and this is, I believe, I'm guessing this is a flare. A flare cat there. So, alright, well that's about the gist of it. Probably cut it off there. There's not much to go, and I'll break in tomorrow when I start skinning these and kind of show you the steps I take to get them going. It sucks when they're frozen. It's easier to do them when they're warm, but gotta do what you gotta do. I've been helping Jay out with this, so this one he wants to keep pads on, so we're gonna do it. So, alright guys, well thanks for watching.